Hi guys, welcome to this new initiative called Prelims Compass. Have you ever wondered that there is something that is beyond content in prelims exam? There is something that works beyond just studies in prelims exam, and that is what we are going to focus about in this initiative called Prelims Compass. So in this Prelims Compass, I bring you a series of episodes that focuses beyond the content, that focuses on all the peripheral issues that are neglected by all the aspirants, so that it comes to the attention of all students across India that these are some of the important necessities that are as important as your studies and content that is more emphasized upon in most of the institutes. Every year, thousands of students will read the same book, will appear for the same tests and then go to the UPSC Prelims exam, but only a fraction of them clear the exam. The reason is the entire success of prelims does not stand in the studies, does not stand in the mock tests that you take, but stands in the approach that you take for the UPSC Prelims exam, and that is what is Prelims Compass all about. The first episode of Prelims Compass is going to focus on your systematic planning. Systematic planning is the foundation for your success in any field of life. In prelims, it is more so important. Why? Because most of the students will approach prelims with emotions. Most of the students will approach prelims with hearsay, and most of the students will approach prelims with speculations. You should have a well-laid systematic plan, and you should follow that plan, and that plan should instill confidence as the days go ahead and you come closer to prelims exam. And that is what we are going to do today in episode 1. We are going to strategize the plan for the next 125 days. Why 125 days? Today is 22nd of January. So the UPSC has released the notification. So I'm hoping that whatever your focus is from 23rd till the 28th of May, the 23rd of January till 28th of May, you have 125 days, and I want you to purely and exclusively focus on your prelims exam, because prelims is where the approach is so much undefined that there are so many different approaches that the students are mainly confused, and hence it becomes very critical that you students follow a systematic plan to get yourself ahead of prelims and write mains. And for that, this Prelims Compass becomes very important. So let's go ahead and plan the timetable diligently. Now, I have two approaches for all the students. The first is 3-cycle approach and the second is 4-cycle approach. Now, choose the approach whichever will suit you. Just because there is a 4 and there is a 3 is not inferior to 4. It depends on your strengths and your weaknesses, so choose it wisely. The second thing is, this plan is just indicative. You don't have to follow the plan exactly as I tell you to the greatest of detail, but what is important, or why am I giving this plan, is there has to be a systematic approach, and this is indicative of systematic approach. The second is, this will give you an idea of how to plan yourself ahead so that you approach anything systematically. Okay, so make sure that you use this plan, you make your modifications, customize it to your strengths and weaknesses, and make sure that the only important aspect of today's video is you should have a plan and stick to it diligently, believe in that plan, and keep improving day on and day on till the day of the prelims. And if you can do that, no one can stop you from clearing prelims. So as I told you, you have from 23rd of January, you have 125 days left for prelims. So in the 3-cycle revision, you can divide the 125 days as 50 plus 32 plus 24. So that will come up to 122 days, and 3 days are buffer. Okay. Then if you take the 4-cycle revision, you can divide the days into 50 plus 32 plus 24 plus 16. Okay. These are the number of days that you have to dedicate to finish one cycle of revision. Okay. Now, what constitutes one cycle of revision? Let me be very clear what constitutes one cycle of revision. Now, one cycle of revision constitutes the 8 core subjects that you're seeing in the screen. The 8 core subjects are polity, economy, environment, geography, modern India, ancient medieval art and culture, science and technology, international relations. These are the 8 core subjects that are the foundation of your cyclic revisions. So one cycle of revision should have all the 8 subjects. Students usually emphasize on priority subjects, telling that I will focus more on this and less on that. Please don't do that. Easy questions will always come from all the 8 core subjects. So when easy questions come from all the 8 core subjects, it is your responsibility to not miss out on the easy questions. Remember, the game is getting the easy questions correct in prelims. So if you have to get the easy questions correct in all the subjects, you have to emphasize equally on all the subjects. So the first and the important component of your cyclical revision is your 8 core subjects. So that is part of your cyclical revision. The second is your CSAT. Every day for 1 to 2 hours, depending upon your strengths and weaknesses, you can dedicate the time for CSAT. CSAT has to be part of your curriculum on everyday basis. And the third is current affairs. Don't dedicate months together for current affairs. Every day for 2 hours, read the current affairs. You can read it subject wise, you can integrate with the core subject and read it, or you can treat the current affairs as a separate subject and read it. But 2 hours for CSAT, 2 hours for current affairs is enough every day. So when you do that on every day, incrementally you will start gaining confidence in current affairs. Incrementally you will start gaining confidence in your CSAT, so that you cannot neglect core subjects. That is, these are the 8 core subjects. So your emphasis will stay on the 8 core subjects, and you will end up balancing even the current affairs and CSAT. Otherwise what happens, you will start emphasizing on one, neglecting the other, and that will create the problem in the exam. So your cyclical revisions should have these 3 components. The first component is your 8 core subjects, the second component is your CSAT, and the third component is your current affairs. CSAT and current affairs should be done on daily basis for 2 hours each. Apart from that, your focus should come back to the 8 core subject. So this is the components of your cyclical revisions. Now, I told you that there are 2 approaches. The 3 cycle approach as 50 days, 40 days and 32 days, that will come up to 122 days. And there is 4 cycle approach where it is 50 days plus 32 days plus 24 days plus 16 days. Okay, so as I told you already, the days will resemble the cycles. So in the first 50 days, you have to finish first cycle of revision. In the next component, that is, first let me clear out the 3 cycle strategy. In the 3 cycle strategy, you have 50 days where you finish the first cycle revision. Then you have the 40 days where you finish the second cycle revision. And then you have the third cycle of revision for the next 32 days. So 50 plus 40 plus 32 is 3 cycles of revision. 1 cycle of revision should have the 3 components that I've already told you. So when it comes to 4 cycle revision, you have 50 days to finish 1 cycle. The second cycle comes with 32 days. The third cycle comes with 24 days. And the fourth cycle comes with 16 days. So in this way, you can do many number of revisions of the same subjects, so that you build that strength and confidence as the cycle of revision increases. So this is the basic ideology. Again, I'm telling you, which option you choose, 3 cycle or 4 cycle, does not decide your success. Choose the approach which will suit you, which will suit your strengths and weaknesses. Please don't choose the approach just because 4 is greater than 3. That will not assure you success. So let me be clear on that. The next is, in both the approaches, if you observe, I've given 50 days for the first cycle of revision. The first cycle of revision takes more time because 2 things. One, you are building concepts, you're trying to learn new concepts, and you have to finish reading all the 8 subjects along with current affairs as well as your CSAT. So this 50 days, you are basically building your concepts and you are underlining all the things in the book that are actually important only from prelims perspective. Only those things that are important from prelims perspective should be underlined in the books. For example, let us say you are reading a current affairs magazine. In that magazine, they are talking about International Seabed Authority. So if you take International Seabed Authority, the only thing that you should focus is what can come in prelims. Alright, so one, which institution has formed this authority? The second, which convention under which this authority is formed? When was it formed? Is India member? What are its important critical functions? Okay, that is all. Just focus on the facts, data, and move on. Don't try to read English. So in the first 50 days, one, you are building the concepts for all the subjects. The second is you are trying to filter out unwanted English and mark only those things in all the topics that are important from prelims perspective. Okay, so these are the things that you have to do in the first 50 days, irrespective of which approach you take. It can be the 3 cycle or the 4 cycle approach. Now, 2 things I want to tell apart from your 50 days of reading the subjects. The subjects includes 8 core subjects, current affairs and CSAT. As I've already told you, CSAT and current affairs has to be done 2 hours every day, and other core subjects you can divide and allocate the days within the 50 days in however you want to. Some people may take polity 5 days to finish, some people may take 6 days or 7 days to finish. So it is up to your discretion, but make sure that you are able to cover all the 8 subjects within the 50 days bracket. Okay, that is very important. The second thing is, when you take a subject and finish it, let us say you take polity and you finished it in 5 days. On the 6th day, I want you to write 2 full-length subject-wise tests of polity. So by writing the 2 tests, you are validating how well you have studied polity. So like that, whenever you take 8 core subjects and when you finish one subject, you have to write 2 tests. So by the time you come to 50 days and you have finished all the 8 subjects, you will be written 2 tests on every subject. So that will come to 16 GS tests. Okay, the second is, in the 50 weeks, I want you to every day work CSAT for 2 hours, and every week at least 1 test of CSAT full length should be given. So in the 50 days, every week if you give 1 CSAT test, that will come up to 7 CSAT tests. So irrespective of which approach you take, In the first 50 days, build your concepts, mark all the things that are important from prelims perspective, write 16 GS tests, that is 2 tests after every subject is over, and you have to write 7 CSAT tests every week once. So this is your first objective. So on March 14th, starting from 23rd January, on March 14th, the 50 days will be done. So on March 14th, you should be sure that you have completed all the 8 core subjects, you have done the revisions of current affairs, you have practiced CSAT and current affairs every day for 2 hours, you have written 16 GS tests and 7 CSAT tests. This is your golden standard for the next 50 days. Stop focusing on the prelims exam. Your first standard is March 14. The first 50 days are very crucial. How you build that 50 days will carry the momentum forward. So make sure that you do it consistently and diligently from now on. The next is, after the 50 days, now let me focus on the 3-cycle revision strategy. In the 3-cycle revision strategy, obviously the first 50 days you have built the concept, you have covered the subjects, you have done all the revisions, you have written the tests. The next 40 days, repeat the same thing what you have done again, but the only difference here is you have 40 days. So 8 subjects are there. So you have 5 days per subject. In that 5 days per subject, for 4 days you are going to read, and for 1 day you are going to solve 2 tests. And some people who are advanced can solve 3 tests also. Okay, so overall in the second cycle 40 days you are going to redo everything that you did in the first cycle, but the only thing is 4 days per subject, and 5th day you are going to write 2 tests. Okay, so by the time 40 days gets over, you are going to again finish all the current affairs, CSAT, as well as you are going to finish the GS subjects, and since you are writing 2 tests after every subject, you are again going to finish 16 GS tests. Again, I'm telling you, every week in this 40 days bracket, you should write 1 test every week of CSAT. So when you write 1 test every week of CSAT, you are going to at least write 6 to 7 CSAT tests by the end of these 40 days. So I hope you understood this. So 16 GS tests, around 6 to 7 CSAT tests, and you repeat the same cycle that you did, what you did in the first cycle, that is the first 50 days. By doing this, you are going to strengthen your basics, you are going to remove that fear of CSAT, and then you are also going to build that confidence in current affairs. So do this diligently, and in both the cycles, whatever tests that I am telling, under any circumstances you have to solve it. Lastly, the third grouping of the 3-cycle strategy is the 32 days. So after you have finished 50 days of complete cycle of revision, the next is 40 days of complete cycle of revision. Now you come to 32 days. Now 32 days, you have 8 subjects. So that gives you 4 days per subject. Now in this 4 days per subject, 3 days you have to finish a subject, 1 day you have to write 2 tests. So like that, 3 days finish the subject, 1 day you write 2 tests. So in that way, in the next 32 days, you will be writing again 16 tests of GS. Now here, the 16 tests of GS that you are going to write should be full-length tests of all the subjects. For example, let us say for 3 days you have studied polity. The 4th day, don't write the full length of polity subject-wise test. Please write the full length test that includes all the subjects. Because you are doing the 3rd cycle of revision, you should be exposed to different subjects at one go. So it is okay. In the 3rd cycle, whatever test that you write should be full length test that includes all the subjects. So 32 days should be divided as 4 days per subject, 3 days for studying, 2 cycles in the 4th day. So like this, if you do, GS will be completed. 3 revisions of GS will be completed. Again, 16 tests of full length will be given, and you will be doing your CSAT. Again here, every week, I want you to write 1 CSAT test. So that will again come up to 4 to 5 CSAT tests per week. Okay. So CSAT, in the first cycle you have done 10 tests. In the second cycle you have done 7 tests. In the 3rd cycle you have done 4 tests. That should be comprehensive enough for you to clear CSAT. So like this, if you can divide the days into 50, 40 and 32 and do your plan diligently and consistently, no one can stop you from clearing prelims. This is about the 3-cycle approach. So I hope it was clear, guys. Now let us move into the 4-cycle approach. The 4-cycle approach can be divided as 50 days plus 32 days plus 24 days plus 16 days. Look at this, that 32, 24 and 16 are multiples of 8. Why are they multiples of 8? Because there are 8 core subjects. That is why I am using the multiples of 8. Now let us see how it works. The first 50 days is common to both the cycle, and I have already explained you what needs to be done in the first 50 days. So do that diligently. Then comes your 32 days. In the 32 days, that means 8 subjects are there. In that 8 subjects, you have 4 days per subject. Do this. 3 days you read the subject. 1 day you write 2 tests of that subject-wise test. Okay, like this, if you do for all the 8 subjects, 32 days are done. So your second cycle of revision is done. In the 3rd cycle, you have 24 days. If you have 24 days, you have 3 days per subject. 2 days you study, 1 day you write a full-length test. Now here, the full length test must be integrative of all the subjects. Don't take only the subject that you have studied for those 2 days. Okay, so 2 days you read polity, third day you write a full length test of all the subjects. In that way, if you take 3 days per subject, 24 days will be done. That will complete your third cycle of revision. Coming to the fourth cycle of revision, every time for one subject you will have 2 days, 1 day you revise, 1 day you write tests. Like that, if you do in 16 days, you will be able to complete the 8 core subjects and write tests. Okay, now those people who are writing tests on the 16 days, the last grouping of 16 days, some people may not be able to write the test regularly. That is okay, but one thing what you should do is, you should under any circumstances finish the basic reading. Okay, so don't under any circumstances neglect that. Now with this, again, in every approach that you take in the 4 cycle revision, for example, it can be the 32 days grouping or 24 days grouping or 16 days grouping. Every week there should be one CSAT test written compulsorily. CSAT cannot be neglected. Every week you make it an habit to solve a CSAT test completely. So this is very, very important. Now if you want to solve a CSAT test every week, in that 50-day grouping or in the first 50 days, you have to build the concepts of CSAT properly, and for that you have to give 2 hours every day properly. Okay. Now, when I say every cycle of revision, again I'm repeating, it includes 8 core subjects, your current affairs component and your CSAT. If you can do this diligently, you are going to carry forward all the important components of the exam together, and then you are going to definitely clear and you will become unstoppable. So I hope this systematic plan was helpful, guys. I have given you a rough plan. You can sit out today and make sure that every day what you're doing should be known to you today itself. If you can do that and if you can follow that plan diligently, then you become unstoppable. Then no one will tell you what to do. You yourself will know what exactly to be done for your prelims exam. So I hope it was helpful. Now, Prelims Focus is a unique initiative that focuses on the hidden dynamics of clearing prelims. This is the hidden dynamics that people will get a grip over, and that is the reason why they keep clearing on a regular basis. Now, if you want this, if you want to listen to this, the philosophical aspect of how to clear prelims, then please subscribe to Sudeep's channel, and please make sure that you tune in for all the episodes that are going to come ahead of your preparation. So I hope this was helpful. Today itself, please make sure that you sit and prepare a systematic plan and believe in that plan, believe in yourself, and keep working and moving forward. Just put your head down and keep working, irrespective of what all the other noises keep telling you. You will definitely clear the upcoming prelims. So all the best, guys. Please tune in to the Sudeep's channel, and I'll meet you again. Thank you so much. Bye.